The whole time, yes. Oh my God.
So Samir, you are a Sudanese stand-up comedian.
Yes, sir.
When did you move to the United States?
Around, I was like 16ish or maybe 15.
And you moved with your family,
Yeah, the entire family.
and you moved directly to Chicago.
No, 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 no. So I landed here for like few hours, and then we went to Des Moines, Iowa.
Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah.
So, what does the American dream mean to you?
So the American dream for me is essentially coming from nothing and then working your way up edu- via education wise or which whatever, and then making a living in America as a professional. That's the American dream.
Has the American dream worked for you?
I would say yes. Yes. Yeah, definitely worked. Because I went to college here, and now I'm working. I'm still studying, and then I'm pursuing comedy. So yeah, I would say definitely worked out for me.
What? Hold on.
Hmm.
What do you think the biggest threat to the United States is?
The biggest threat to the United States would be, I think, it would be social media and news. I think that those two things are the biggest threat because they will take a small issue and highlight it, expand it, and then that creates division often the case. And so I think that's the biggest issue in America because we're all kind of similar. Then we're not that different. I grew up in a village, coming here, and then I can relate to everyone essentially here. I can relate to white folks here, black folks here, although I grew up in a village. So we're not that similar. We're all kind of going through this journey of life, right? And so then when you watch the news, you're like, oh, they're all coming, oh, they're all doing this, all our state is changing. So I think that's what's gonna, you need to turn around. You need to turn around.
What are you
You
doing?
need to turn
Making me
around.
nervous? You need to
He's
turn around.
no, he's doing a whole bunch of motion that I was stop doing that. But anyways, no, sorry. But yeah, so I think that's the biggest issue. Social media and the news system in America are the
Causing
threat.
division.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think the best way to deal with that threat is?
The best way, I would say, kind of getting out of your small bubble of your, the area the small community that you're constantly with, the friends are kind of going to places that meeting people that you don't know, and because that's what life is. You're kind of getting a different perspective, and then you realize that the world is a lot more bigger, and that kind of changes your perspective and it makes you more open-minded and more welcoming to others. I think that's the only way. So make more connection, go out, expand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. What do you think the United States is going to look like in 20 years?
In 20 years,
Yeah.
oh, that's a good. Demographically, or
Just like generally, like in general, what do you think that it's going to be worse? Do you think it's going to be better? Do you think it's going
no?
to be?
I think it's gonna be better.
Oh, nice.
I'm very optimistic. It's gonna be better, for sure. And I think the war in general is becoming more diverse everywhere. I went to Sudan last year. It's like diverse. I left 2006. It wasn't like that at all. But America, in 20 years, is going to be. I think it's already diverse as it is now, but it's going to be way more diverse, and and I think racial issue will be less significant, right? I think we're all getting accustomed to race in general, and so the younger generation already grew up like knowing about race and being welcoming. So I think in 20 years, 50 years, in 20 years, right? You said?
Yeah. 20
Yeah, in 20 years, I think yeah, race will be a very minor issue, um, and I think America will still be the way America is, one of the greatest nation.
Greatest nation, dude.
Yeah.
Let me see. What do you love the most about the United States?
Uh, that's the there's a lot. Okay, so one, I love the freedom you get in America. Sometimes I always say we need more immigrant leaders because they know what we take for granted. right? So, for example, in America, freedom of speech, right? Freedom of speech, that's something that we take for granted. The fact that we can go protest and nothing happens to us, that's another thing we take for granted. I'm a comedian. I can talk about politics up on the stage. I can talk about Trump in front of a whole bunch of red state people. Like, hey, this is why Trump, this and that. And they'll laugh with me. So that's a lot of freedom. I can't do that in Sudan. So that's something I love about America. But at the same time, I mean, the diversity that comes with it. The people that you meet, I love that. I think America's only one of the nation where you can come from nothing, education-wise, business-wise, and if you're working towards whatever you're achieving, there's always a group of people that are going to push you towards that. So you can become anything that you put your mind to it, as opposed to like many other nations where that's not the case, right? Where in Sudan, if your parents are doctor, you're going to be a doctor. If your parents are, a chef, you're going to be a chef. You're going to have to follow the same route because there's no other way for you to do anything. Or in America, you can actually do that. You can be like a, a doctor, even though your parents may never went to school at all. So that's the best thing I love America.
Nice. What do you hate the most about America?
What do I hate the most about America is I think I think this idea of cancel culture. I'm not a fan of that. I think it limits people from being honest and speaking up. And I think that's something, although it's not, I don't see it as a big issue. I see it as like, at the moment it is, but eventually it's gonna just kind of, they're gonna be like, it's gonna die out eventually. But that's something I'm not a big fan of. The whole idea of canceling someone based on what they said something 10 years ago. Like, hey, 10 years ago he did this and that. I'm like, who cares,
Yeah.
right? That was 10 years ago. He grew up, he learned, he moved on, right? That's something that I don't like about America. Another thing that I would say would be, well, there's also a lot of political stuff that are just, I have like, healthcare is an issue I find in America that they can resolve it if they want to, right? And gun is another issue in America that they can, if they want to come to a solution, they can come to a solution immediately. But those are things that are more political. So people have different opinions on that.
How would you would you describe yourself politically, left or right, or Democrat, Republican?
Ooh, that's a good question. I honestly don't know because I do agree with the left. I also agree with the right. Right? There are topics that I agree with the right, and those topics that I agree with the left. Right? So I would say, does moderate count? I'm like a little more in the middle, right? There's when it comes to gun issue, I agree with the left, right? But when it comes to issues like a small business, all that stuff, I agree a bit with the right. So there's always that.
Okay.
And I think most people are kind of in the middle, but we're so caught up with labeling that, hey, you're definitely left, and then therefore we're not even going to listen to you because you're left, or vice versa. I think that's what America is going through right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see if I have any other interesting questions. No. Any final words? Any final thoughts?
And-
Wait. Actually, one more. What is Sorry. What
No,
is the
you're okay.
most important thing in your life? It doesn't have to be political. It can be like a person, a thing, an idea. Just like what do you think is one of the most important things in your life?
Oh, I know the answer. The answer might be quite boring,
Uh-huh.
but I think the most important thing in my life is family and friends. Those are the two important things for me that kind of carries me through. I love family, but I also love just making friends and expanding. It's the coolest thing ever for me.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Hey Samir,
Hey, who are you?
why do Africans not like black people?
Why don't Africans like black folks? Where do I start? Okay.
You can answer it if you want.
Media. I think I would say the answer is the media because there's no. Okay, I was 100% question. There's no way. Is social is social media, and what happens is African this is African parents predominantly. African parents, most African parents, they grew up watching TV, and TV tends to portray black folks in a negative light, as they're all drug dealers and all the, all the stereotypical stuff. So then, African parents grew up watching that, and they assume immediately, like, oh man, Samir, you gotta stay away from black folks because they're up to no good. Have you seen the show Cops? 99% of the people are black folks, right? And then, as a student, as a child who grew up here, I'm like, that's just stereotype. That's not true at all, right?
Yeah.
So that's why Africans get this tension between them, or this negative idea of what black folks are in America. They're lazy. They don't do anything. They just smoke drugs and all that stuff, which is not true. But vice versa is also the other way too, because also black folks also tend to get more negative portrayal of Africans, like they're uneducated, they live in huts, from the Discovery channels and from all that. So at the end of the day is media. We need to like stop that.
Brings it back to media.
Yeah.
Cool. Any final thoughts? Any final words?
No. Any other question for you, David?
We good for now.
Yeah, he's next,
Ah.
so you can ask him a question too. Awesome. Well, thank you for doing the interview.
Yeah,
Is it
man.
okay if I post this on YouTube?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah.
For sure.